Hey Bears fans, Will DeWitt, Nicholas Moreano here for CHGO, and we are making the case for some prospects heading into the 2023 NFL Draft for the Chicago Bears. Now, before we get to today's player, let's go ahead and make sure you know that I want you to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss all of our amazing Chicago Bears content all year long right here on this channel. But let's go ahead and make the case. And today we're going to make the case for Derick Hall, the edge defender out of Auburn. He's 6'3", 241. Last season, 60 tackles, 11.5 for loss, 6.5 sacks. If you're looking at some rankings, he's 78th on PFF's top 150 and 48th on mock draft database. Nick, what do you like about Hall?
Well, Derick Hall, when you're watching his film there at Auburn, he's dropping back into coverage, covering tight ends and covering running backs on wheel routes, just athletic. And I think you can get creative as a defensive coordinator. You ultimately don't want to get too creative and have him drop back all the time. But when I saw that on film, I was like, wow, okay, this guy not only can rush the passer effectively, but he can also get back there in coverage and doesn't, look out of place there.
That's probably because in high school he was a state finalist for the 200-meter sprint, so he's always been fast. But with someone at his size, again, I mentioned 6'3", 241, moving that fast, whoo, watch out. Now, he had 84 pressures, 27 QB hits, and 22 sacks in his 4 years. I like that he was a leader. He was voted team captain this year. And when I look at him on the field, I think the one element that I just am very pleased with is the combination of explosiveness and strength. He can get after quarterbacks by first quicks off the snap, but he's also known for his strength where he can go ahead and set the edge and defend the run. And he just knows how to tap into leverage to turn his speed into power. Now, I know there's another element to his game that makes his life difficult for offensive linemen, and they talked about it all week during the Senior Bowl, Nick, and that was his strong and heavy hands.
Yeah, and he definitely has that, and it helps when you have that quick first step, and then he's able to just punch you back with those strong, heavy hands, and that's why when you look at what Derick Hall can bring to any defense, it's just versatility, strength, and productivity. All three things that I think any defense would love to have in a player.
Any major concerns?
I think for me, a lot of his reps came out of a 2-point stance. So when you look at him and you're thinking about the Bears and the edge position, again, it's almost a little harder just to think, is he just not capable of putting his hand in the dirt? I'm sure he is, but you would just like to see it more in college so that when he comes, if he were to get drafted by the Bears, it's a nice transition. But a lot of his reps, 2-point stance, so how comfortable is he with his hand in the dirt?
And it does change, like, how you get off the snap and it is an entirely different position. So I do think that is a valid concern here to have. And on top of that, he just needs to continue to develop more pass rush moves, some more counter moves. And on top of that too, like, where would he even fit for the Bears in a draft plan? Because he's like very much like a mid to late first round guy. Maybe he falls into early round 2, but depending on if the Bears trade back or not, he isn't someone that you trade up for, and he's definitely not someone I don't think you reach for in the top 10 by any means.
Yeah, and again, going back to the 2-point stance, you almost want to make sure if you're going to, whatever decision the Bears would make, that you know exactly what you're getting. And not to say that Derick Hall is not going to be a good player or anything, but for the Bears and how it fits, it does. There's some interesting questions that General Manager Ryan Poles would have to answer before making a move to go get this guy.
Now let's go ahead and let's just make the case. I think the first point I'm going to make here is, even though right now we have scheme concerns, the Bears just need dudes to go after the quarterbacks. They can't be picky, and Hall's definitely one of those.
Yeah, and he definitely is. He's a guy that's going to set the edge, and he's going to get after the quarterback. But like I said, he can also drop back in coverage too. So again, options for the Bears and what they might want out of that edge position. So if the Bears go get him, it makes sense because it's still a position of need and still a high-end football player that can make an impact for this defense.
Yeah, make an impact right away, but he's still raw enough that with the right coaching and development, he can become a very much like a higher-end player in just a couple of years here. But that's going to do it for our case on Derick Hall. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss any of our Bears content all off season long. But we'll see you in the next Making the Case video.